Marty Chen is Senior Advisor of WIEGO. She has worked all of her career with informal workers, organizing and supporting rural home-based workers in Bangladesh in the 1970s, supporting NGOs working with rural and urban informal workers in India in the 1980s, and co-founding WIEGO in 1997. As the international coordinator for WIEGO from 1997 to 2017, Marty was involved in the formation of HomeNet South Asia, and she worked closely with HomeNet South Asia and HomeNet Southeast Asia. She took part in many discussions about the formation of regional HomeNets and HomeNet International. As WIEGO's senior advisor, Marty continues to play an active role in research on home-based workers and in the production of a number of statistical briefs on home-based workers. She's currently overseeing a strand of work for WIEGO on home as a workplace. So Marty, are you ready? Over to you, here we go. So my questions. Statistics have always been extremely important in making visible home-based workers. Can you tell us about the discovery of statistics as an important weapon in the struggle for C177? Okay, building on what Ela has spoken to us about. And then give us a pitch of home-based workers globally now from the latest and first ever global statistics on home-based work. And just to note to everybody, a new WIEGO brief is contained in the Congress pack and on the HomeNet International website and the WIEGO website on the recent global statistics. Okay, Marty, so can you give us your answers on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and congratulations, HomeNet International. It's such an honor and joy to celebrate this significant, precious moment with you. It really is a momentous day for home-based workers around the world. In June 1995, I went to Geneva to show solidarity to SEWA and the other organizations of home-based workers in the campaign for the Convention on Home-Based Work. The first year tripartite discussion of the proposed convention had just been completed and the preliminary vote was being taken. So I went with Ela Ben and Rainana Ben and others to the Palais to hear the results of the preliminary vote. The convention passed, but narrowly, as Ela Ben explained, because the workers were for it, the employers were against it, and the countries cast the deciding vote. The next morning over breakfast, Ela Ben explained that they needed statistics on home-based workers to convince more governments to vote for the convention in the final vote in 1990. So on the spot, I promised to compile statistics on home-based work. I promised to compile the statistics, but at the time, only 7 countries collected official statistics on home-based workers. So with 2 colleagues, I compiled data from 20 studies in 15 countries, and we found that 1/3 to 3/4 of all enterprises were home-based, that home workers represented 40 to 60% of workers, all workers in key export sectors, and that women were more likely to be home-based workers than men. Our report was distributed to delegates at the 1996 ILO conference. And when the convention was passed, I received a postcard from Ela Bhatt and Reina Jabwala, which they mailed from Geneva, which read, "The employers had their ideology, the workers had their statistics, the convention passed." This was my first lesson in the power of statistics, a fact that Ela, Rainana, and Sewa had long known. This collaboration led to the founding of WIEGO to improve official statistics on informal workers and to support organizations and networks of informal workers in their struggle for a better deal. So WIEGO has had the privilege over these last 25 years of providing moral, technical, and political support to the founding of StreetNet International, the International Domestic Worker Federation, and now HomeNet International. Little did we imagine in June 1996 that 25 years later, in February 2021, we would be celebrating the launch of HomeNet International, and that for the launch, WIEGO and the ILO would publish the first ever global statistics of home-based workers. So thanks to those first ever global statistics, we now know there are at least 260 million women and men around the world who produce goods or services from in or around their home, and that 86% of these are in developing and emerging economies, only 14% in the developed countries. And almost 2/3 of the world's home-based workers are in Asia and the Pacific, 15% in Africa, and 6% in Latin America. And we know that a majority of home-based workers, 57%, are women. Now, in terms of the rich variety of home-based workers, if there's so many, they have to be quite varied as well. We know that home-based workers can be found in the three main branches of the economy: in agriculture, in services, and manufacturing. And we also know that they're found in many sub-branches or sectors of the economy, from traditional sectors such as textile, garments, shoes, to modern sectors, including the manufacturing of automobile parts and airplane cushions, electronic assembly, and of course, there are some that are involved in professional services from their home, including lawyers and accountants and people who collect data and process data. And there are different types of home-based workers, and certain types predominate in developing and emerging and developed countries. So self-employed professionals, the lawyers and the accountants and others who have offices at home, and the teleworkers, those who do remote work for firms, and digital platform workers are more common in developed and emerging economies, whereas the traditional self-employed, the home workers and contributing family workers are more common in developing countries. Consider India, a country I know well. 1/3 of all women workers and 1/3 of all manufacturing enterprises are home-based in India. And there are differences at the country and regional levels depending on the stage of industrial development and whether the economies are still primarily agriculture and whether the export-led sectors are primarily in commodities or in manufacturing. And we see that difference across the affiliates of the HomeNet from the different regions. So in Asia, I always think of manufacturing homework, right? In Africa, we have a lot of craft producers and food processors. In Latin America, we've learned that a lot of the home workers were former factory workers in garment sectors that have been sent back to their homes to work. And in Europe and North America, we know that a lot of the home workers use computers and ICT technologies and our digital platforms. So there's a rich variety of home-based workers around the world. And we're so lucky that so many types and so many countries are represented in HomeNet International. So I want to just end by saying 3 cheers, shabash, for HomeNet International, Mubarak. May you go from strength to strength, empowering home-based workers to demand their identity, their dignity, and their rights as workers. Thank you.